Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is your friendly neighborhood Slytherin host, Ren. It's been a while since I put out a video on YouTube. Well, it hasn't been that long actually, it's only been around 2 weeks, but usually I don't go for more than a week without posting. I am excited to get back into the swing of things. I've just been so busy. I've had a pretty crazy September and first few days of October. Just a lot of things going on that I won't get into, but it's all good. Everything is on a positive slope, I guess you could say. Yeah, I just wanted to come back and chill with you guys, you fellow Asian makeup lovers out there. We are going to keep today's video very simple, very low-key. I'm only reviewing, or trying out I should say, one product. So CanMake has recently come out with a few new items for autumn, I guess. I can't really call it a collection. It's not necessarily a collection, but they're autumn or fall releases for 2021. So they came out with 2 new limited fall colors for their Glow Fleur Cheeks line, of which I have one right here. And they also came out with 3 new eyeshadow quads from their Silky Souffle Eyes line. These 3 new palettes contain shades in a matte formulation, whereas all the past releases have had only like the shimmery, glittery type formula. I couldn't bring myself to purchase any of the new matte type Silky Souffle Eyes just because, I mean, let's be honest, I have way too much eyeshadow. I have so many eyeshadow quads and palettes that I haven't even, like, I've been meaning to review, but like I said, I got super caught up in other life things unrelated to YouTube for most of September. So I'm sitting on a pretty huge pile of new makeup products, a lot of them being eyeshadows that I haven't even gotten around to reviewing, and I just couldn't justify picking up yet another eyeshadow quad, even though it is really affordable. Plus, I got the idea when looking at the flower design that you could actually double this as an eyeshadow palette as well, and that goes for any of the color variations in the Glow Fleur Cheeks line. So that also makes me feel better about spending money on this as opposed to their new matte Silky Souffle Eyes, because this one, technically you're getting 2 products in one. Interestingly enough, the Glow Fleur Cheeks, like one cheek product, retails for slightly more than their Silky Souffle Eyes 4-pan eyeshadow quad. So the Glow Fleur Cheeks is 880 yen with tax, while the Silky Souffle Eyes are only 825 yen. If a blush is gonna cost more than an entire eyeshadow palette, then might as well get as many different types of use out of it as possible. Am I right? Okay, so let me just give you a nice little close-up of the pan before we get started on application. I just love the laser sharpness of the flower design, and then there's a slight shimmery overspray I feel on all of the different colored petal portions. But don't worry, I've used many of the Glow Fleur Cheeks before in the past, and I can attest to the fact that they do give off like a very glowy, glossy almost type of effect. So I'm gonna start off with the light orangey brown shadow in the bottom left corner here, and I'm just applying that all over my lid as a base. And you can see it's actually showing up quite pigmented, and it blends out pretty evenly, which is great. Everything going according to plan. And then I'm using the bottom right petal here, this slightly darker copper color, to deepen up the outer V of my eyes. Again, very, very pigmented and very matte, I must say, overall. Although this deeper shade has a little bit of like slight metallic reflex in it. That initial base shade that we laid down though was pretty much completely matte. So now I'm just going to take my finger into the top left highlight color here, pat that down the center of my lids, as well as apply to my inner and lower corner. You know what? I'm pretty satisfied with how this looks right now. Even though I only used 3 shades out of the 5 that are technically available, I feel like this is pretty much my ideal sort of simple monochromatic terracotta look. Let me put the finishing touches on my eyes with my liner and lashes, and I'll be right back to finish off my cheeks and give you my final thoughts on this little experiment, which is going swimmingly so far, if I may say so myself. Okay, so my eyes are done and looking quite appropriate for fall, might I say. They also match my ears. All that is left is to finish up with the blush, which we're gonna go in with what this item was originally intended for, and I'm gonna use the brush that comes with every palette. This is not a bad brush. Actually, this is pretty soft. Like, it doesn't feel pokey or rough at all. So the actual bristles of this brush are pretty nice. The handle is short and crappy, but I mean, you can't expect too much. It's the bristles that matter as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just gonna swirl it in here. And whoa, is that pigmented? I think we established that already though from the eyeshadow application. And softly swirl. See, that was enough for both cheeks. I know it says swirl on the directions, but I actually prefer to brush it out horizontally because I feel like if I swirl, it's gonna concentrate more in one area, and I don't want that for my blush in particular. And there we have it. This is my final makeup look using only the Glow Fleur Cheeks by Can Make in number 15 Copper Fleur. The lipstick is Can Make as well. I forgot to mention. It is their Melty Luminous Rouge in T05. This is the only Can Make lipstick or lip product at all that I own, by the way, at this very moment. Pretty much every time I do like a Can Make tutorial or review video, I will be using this, unless the shade completely clashes with the rest of my face or something, then I'll opt for something else. But I do really like the Melty Luminous Rouge formula in particular. Can't say the same about their other lip products, unfortunately, but there's that. So yeah, this little experiment, I guess you could say, actually turned out a lot better than I could have even imagined. I mean, I knew it would be fine because it's not like a revolutionary idea or anything. People have always been using their eyeshadows for blush or eyeshadow for highlighter and vice versa. It's not a new concept whatsoever. I just realized that I actually never saw anyone attempt to do that with this particular product by Can Make, and it just hit me that one day when I was standing in the store looking at their new fall offerings that, yeah, why hasn't anyone done that yet? Because the entire Glow Fleur Cheeks line, all of them have like 5 different colors. Now, depending on which color variation you get, some of them are more monochromatic while others have more of a contrast between the different petal shades. So this one actually happened to be on the more monochromatic side, which is why I only ended up really using 3 shades. But just as a comparison, I have an unopened one in number 9 here. So this is the same Glow Fleur Cheeks line. You can just see if I put side by side with the Copper Fleur that I used today, this one obviously has like a bigger variety of colors and intensity between the 5 different shades. So if I were to use number 9 as an eyeshadow palette, it would probably be more worth my while to use all of the shades on my eyes because they would actually contrast well against each other. But yeah, so if you own any of the Can Make Glow Fleur Cheek palettes or you're thinking about purchasing one, well, first of all, I would highly recommend it because this is one of the best drugstore cheek products that I've ever tried in like the better part of a decade. Use it as eyeshadow. That way you can save money on buying a separate eyeshadow palette. You can just use the one cheek palette for 2 purposes. And you're not sacrificing quality or intensity of color payoff or anything like that at all. In fact, I have to say, even just based on today's results alone, even though it's originally intended to be a blush product, this worked out better as an eyeshadow than some of Can Make's actual eyeshadow products. And actually, I'm not a big fan of Can Make's eyeshadow formulas in general at all, as you guys know. Perfect Stylist eyes, I'm not a fan of. Silky Souffle eyes, it's hit or miss depending on the color variation. But even the recent like matcha green palette, that was fun and everything, but it's still not anywhere near like my top 10 eyeshadow formulas. This, on the other hand, even though it's a cheek palette, I have to say, like for me personally, at least for my standards, this out eyeshadowed the actual Can Make eyeshadows. Nothing in the world is making sense anymore. If you took like this exact same powder and you put it in a different packaging, like more resembling of a classic eyeshadow palette packaging, if you handed that to me and told me it was an eyeshadow palette instead of a cheek palette to begin with, I would not bat an eye. No pun intended. Color payoff was amazing. It was super easy to blend, probably because, again, it's originally intended to be a blush, and blush kind of has to be inherently easier to blend. There was also virtually no fallout whatsoever, and even though this particular shade, number 15, did happen to be very monochromatic, like all of the different petal shades are pretty similar, I was still able to build a visibly, you know, gradient effect, albeit subtle, on my lids, which I'm actually really enjoying right now. And of course, when you use the same powder for your blush as you do for your eyeshadow, it's guaranteed to match. So you eliminate that step as well of having to match your blush undertones with your eyeshadow undertones for the day. Like, it's just a win-win situation all around, I feel, especially monetary wise. I mean, my entire look today basically only cost, so if you factor in the lipstick, which is the same price as the Glow Fleur cheeks, both are 880 yen. My entire look, minus of course my eyebrows and eyeliner and stuff, was only 1,760 yen, as opposed to the 2,500 yen or whatever the total would be if I had to buy a separate eyeshadow palette for my eyes. Anyway, I feel like I might have overanalyzed a little bit in this video, but I'm actually like, I'm just really excited that I had the idea to try out the Glow Fleur cheeks as an eyeshadow palette, because as far as I know, I don't think anyone else has done this on YouTube, at least. If they did, please feel free to show me the receipts, but I don't think they did. I think I'm the first, so I don't know, I might start a revolution over here. I'm sure CanMake would not be too pleased with me if I actually did start like a huge trend of just using the cheek palettes as eyeshadows and then have that result in nobody buying any of their new eyeshadow palettes, but hey, good thing I don't work for CanMake, nor am I sponsored by them in any way. Anyway, that is going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and as usual, I will see you in my next one. Bye!